Chosen one, stop and breathe. Do you feel that silence? That stillness deep in your soul? It's not emptiness, it's completion. Heaven just stamped your story with one final word: done. What you cried over, God has closed. What tormented your nights, heaven has erased. The cycle that kept repeating, it's broken. The lesson has been learned. The contract of pain has expired. You've carried this burden long enough, and now the weight is gone. You don't owe that chapter another tear. You don't owe that wound another explanation. The test is over. The result is victory. Chosen one, this is not just a new beginning. This is a divine ending. You will never have to walk through that again. Because what tried to destroy you only confirmed what heaven already knew. You were stronger than the storm. So stand still for a moment and let your spirit hear the sound of finality. The gates that once held you are locked. Behind you, not ahead. The page has turned. The season has ended. The promise is now. Heaven is saying, congratulations, it's done. You made it through. Chosen one. Something sacred happened in the invisible. It didn't come with lightning or loud signs. It came quietly, like a divine whisper through your spirit. It's finished. You may not have seen the moment it happened, but heaven did. The pressure you felt, the heaviness in your chest, the battles that made no sense, they all reached their divine expiration. That long spiritual test, that endless loop of pain you kept trying to understand, God just ended it. There's a moment in every chosen one's journey when the suffering no longer serves a purpose, when heaven says, enough. And chosen one, that moment just arrived for you. It wasn't the enemy that stopped the attack. It was God who shut the gates. Because you had proven everything you needed to prove. Your loyalty under pressure, your love under rejection, your faith under silenced, heaven saw it all. And when your heart stayed faithful in the fire, heaven decided it was time to close the furnace. Ask yourself, how many nights did you pray without words? How many times did you whisper, God, please end this, and wonder if he heard you? He did. He just waited until your strength turned into wisdom, until your pain turned into purpose. And now that purpose has been sealed. You see, heaven doesn't waste pain, it redeems it. Every wound became a doorway to revelation. Every tear watered the soil where your next blessing is already blooming. The silence wasn't God ignoring you. It was him completing something inside you. You've crossed the threshold between testing and testimony. You're standing in the moment that shifts your story forever. The divine intersection between what was and what will never be again. The angels saw it before you did. They watched as you resisted temptation to turn bitter. They watched as you worshipped through weariness. They watched as you stood alone and still whispered, I trust you. That was the final proof heaven needed to declare your cycle complete. Chosen one, listen carefully. This isn't just emotional relief. This is spiritual release. The heaviness that used to sit on your chest has lifted because heaven lifted it. The atmosphere around you feels lighter because the warfare has ended. What once chased you has lost permission to follow. And you'll know it's real because your spirit feels different now. You're not running anymore. You're resting. You're not questioning anymore. You're knowing. You're not surviving anymore. You're becoming. Ask yourself, Why do things that once triggered you now feel distant? Why do faces and memories that used to hurt you now feel powerless? It's because you're no longer in that frequency. You've risen beyond it. That's what done feels like. This is heaven's decree. You passed. The assignment is complete. The contract of pain is nullified. The curse has expired. And everything you lost during the test will return, multiplied. You may not have realized it, but your graduation just took place. You didn't walk across a stage, you walked through a storm. You didn't receive a certificate, you received a crown. The phrase, "it is done," isn't just closure. It's commission. It means heaven can now trust you with peace that can't be stolen. It means you're qualified to walk in authority without fear of loss. It means your soul has evolved into something indestructible. Chosen one, the same heaven that allowed the test has now signed the release. Your name is written on a decree sealed in glory. They've overcome. Let the new begin. Breathe in. Feel that quiet strength inside your chest? That's victory. That's finality. That's God whispering, "You'll never have to go through that again." You're free. You're finished with that season. And now the next one begins. Chosen one. When heaven ends a season, your soul feels it before your mind understands it. You begin to sense a strange calm, even in the middle of uncertainty. It's as if the storm is still visible on the horizon, but it no longer belongs to you. That's not confusion. That's confirmation. Heaven is showing you that what once chained you has lost its authority. You've probably noticed it already. The same things that used to drain you don't even reach you anymore. The patterns that used to repeat suddenly feel foreign. Even your body feels lighter, like the air around you shifted. That's not coincidence, that's closure. When God ends a cycle, He removes the appetite for what kept you bound. You don't crave chaos anymore. You don't chase validation. You don't feel the need to fix what broke you. That detachment is divine. It's heaven's proof that your spirit has evolved. Ask yourself, why do you suddenly feel peace where there used to be panic? Why does your heart feel healed even without an apology? It's because the healing didn't come from them. It came from Him. The same God who watched you bleed has now sealed the wound Himself. And once heaven seals it, no memory, no message, no mistake can reopen it. You're walking proof that transformation is real. Your silence now carries authority. Your boundaries now carry love. Your energy no longer matches the old version of your life, because that version doesn't exist anymore. Chosen one, this is how you know the cycle has ended. When people from your past reach out and you feel compassion instead of craving. When your old triggers appear and you respond with calm instead of chaos. When you start thanking God for what once broke you, not because it was easy, but because it freed you. Every test had an expiration date, and heaven just stamped yours complete. The spiritual warfare that surrounded you has collapsed under the weight of your endurance. What once tormented your sleep now fears your peace. The atmosphere has changed, and so have you. Ask yourself, why does time feel different now? Why do your mornings feel sacred again? Because your spirit has stepped into rest. You're no longer fighting to prove you've healed. You're living the evidence of it. This is the divine paradox of breakthrough. It doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with freedom. You stop chasing answers because you realize you already carry wisdom. You stop waiting for closure because heaven already closed it. You stop fighting for space in people's lives because God already made room for you in destiny. When God ends a cycle, He leaves signs behind, subtle but undeniable. You begin seeing symbols of renewal everywhere. The numbers you keep encountering, the peace that feels unexplainable, the quiet moments when tears come not from sadness, but from release. That's heaven, confirming it's finished. Chosen one, don't fear the emptiness that follows the ending. That emptiness isn't loss, it's sacred space. It's the quiet before the new begins to bloom. You're not being left behind, you're being lifted out. So walk differently now. Speak gently. Smile more often. Because this peace isn't temporary, it's the proof. Your old battles have no doorway back to you. The pain that once spoke your name now finds it unrecognizable. Heaven changed your identity, and the enemy can't read the new language of your spirit. You're not just healed, you're hidden in divine protection, and the evidence is all around you. The storm has passed, the air is new, and your soul finally knows it's free. Chosen one, it's done. You'll never go through that again, because now you walk with the wisdom that outlasted the war. Why that season was never about loss, but refinement. Chosen one, what you went through wasn't punishment, it was polishing. Heaven wasn't trying to break you down, it was burning away what couldn't go with you, everything that fell apart, every person that left, every prayer-ish that seemed unanswered. None of it was wasted. It was divine refinement in disguise. You saw loss. Heaven saw light being revealed. When gold is refined, it's not destroyed. It's purified. The fire doesn't remove its value, it exposes it. And that's what your last season did. It pulled out the truth of who you are beneath all the layers of fear, doubt, and dependency. You thought you were being stripped, but really, you were being streamlined. God was removing the noise so you could finally hear His frequency clearly. He was cutting ties that anchored you to smallness, stretching you to expand your capacity for purpose. Ask yourself, how many times did you think you lost everything, only to find peace in the ashes? How many times did you feel empty, but somehow stronger than ever? That's refinement. The divine paradox where subtraction becomes multiplication. You lost friends who couldn't handle your calling. You lost opportunities that weren't truly yours. You lost versions of yourself that could not cross the threshold of your destiny. But none of that was failure. It was filtration. Heaven filtered your environment until only truth remained. The fire you walked through wasn't meant to destroy, it was meant to distinguish. It separated who you were from who you were born to become. It burned off the dependence on what was temporary and taught you to rely only on what's eternal. Refinement feels like rejection, but it's actually redirection. Rejection from people, from places, from paths that no longer fit your elevation. God didn't remove things to hurt you. He removed them to make room for what's holy. Ask yourself, would you have prayed this deeply if everything had gone your way? Would you have found this faith if comfort had stayed constant? Probably not. And that's why heaven allowed the shaking, to make sure your roots grew deep enough to withstand glory. Now, what you call scars, heaven calls signatures. Proof that you've been refined, not ruined. Evidence that your spirit has matured into unshakable resilience. Every tear was currency that heaven exchanged for wisdom. Every delay was an anointing in disguise. Chosen one, your last season wasn't about losing. It was about learning who you are without the noise. You discovered that peace is your power. You realized that isolation was actually incubation. You learned that not everyone can go where you're headed. And that's okay. You've been refined into something that shines differently now. People will notice your calm before they understand your strength. Your light will speak before your lips ever do. Because heaven replaced your old fire with a glow that no darkness can dim. This is what happens when chosen ones endure divine refinement. They stop reacting like victims and start walking like vessels. They stop asking, "Why me, Ash?" and start declaring, "Use me." And now you're ready for what's next. The version of you that exits the fire is lighter, wiser, and infinitely stronger. You didn't just survive, you emerged. You're no longer made of what breaks. You're made of what builds. The test is over, the metal is pure, and heaven is smiling because you finally see it. You never lost. You transformed. And that transformation is permanent. How heaven restores after refinement. Chosen one, the same hands that allowed the fire are now building your foundation. Heaven never ends with ashes. It ends with architecture. The season that stripped you was only the prelude to the season that will strengthen you. The refining was never random. It was a recalibration. Now that your heart has been purified, heaven can finally release what it's been holding for you. Restoration doesn't happen when things go back to how they were. It happens when you realize they never will, because they're about to become better. The you that survived the furnace is not the same soul who entered it. You've been recoded, redefined, and reassigned. And now, heaven is matching your new frequency with new favor. Ask yourself, why are opportunities resurfacing, but feeling different this time? Why do you sense peace in places that used to bring panic? It's because you're no longer returning to rebuild the old. You're being trusted to recreate the new. Heaven restores differently. It doesn't give back what was taken. It gives back what was missing. When Job came out of his storm, God didn't just restore what he lost. He multiplied it. That's the same pattern unfolding over your life right now. The pain you endured wasn't a loss. It was a down payment. And now, heaven is returning the investment with interest. Joy where there was mourning, clarity where there was confusion, abundance where there was anxiety. Heaven restores in silence first. Before the public sees it, your spirit feels it. You wake up lighter. You smile for no reason. You feel gratitude without knowing why. That's your inner world being rebuilt, brick by brick, by unseen hands. Before God restores your circumstances, He restores your capacity to carry them. Ask yourself, would you even recognize blessings if they came during the storm? Could you have managed this peace before you met that pain? Probably not. That's why heaven waited until you were refined, so that the new wouldn't break you the way the old did. You're not waiting for restoration anymore. You're living in it. It's happening quietly, subtly, gracefully. Every time you choose gratitude instead of grief, you rebuild. Every time you forgive instead of fight, you reclaim ground. Every time you rest instead of rush, You restore what chaos once drained. Heaven restores through people too, the right ones. The souls who mirror your healed frequency, who speak to your peace instead of your pain. The ones who don't pull energy from you but pour light into you. These divine alignments are heaven's way of showing you, I didn't take people from you, I made space for better ones. And soon, visible restoration will follow the invisible one. Doors that once ignored you will now open effortlessly. Projects that once drained you will suddenly prosper. Ideas that sat dormant will begin to bloom. Because when heaven restores, it doesn't rebuild what fell, it resurrects what was destined. You'll start to see confirmation everywhere, numbers repeating, timing aligning, blessings doubling. These are heaven's signatures that say, the balance has been paid. The promise is being fulfilled. The same angels that watched you cry are now all organizing your celebration. They're arranging divine opportunities in the background while you sleep, ensuring that nothing stolen remains missing. Chosen one, this is the secret. God never restores you to where you were. He restores you to where you were meant to be. The restoration is always greater than the loss. Because heaven doesn't rebuild ruins, it builds revelations. So breathe deeply. This new peace isn't temporary, it's prophetic. The pressure that refined you has become the permission that releases you. It's already happening. It's already unfolding. And the same heaven that watched you break is now watching you blossom. Congratulations, chosen one. The refining fire is out. And now, restoration has begun. Chosen one. When heaven restores, it doesn't return you to your old seat. It gives you a new table. Because what's been rebuilt inside you can no longer fit into the structures that once confined you. Restoration is never just about receiving. It's about relocation. God isn't just giving you back. He's moving you forward. The energy around you is shifting because your assignment has evolved. You can feel it, can't you? That subtle distance between you and what used to feel familiar? The conversations that suddenly don't feed your spirit anymore? It's not arrogance. It's alignment. Heaven is repositioning you, not to isolate, but to elevate. Ask yourself, why do certain rooms feel smaller lately? Why do old desires feel finished, even though nothing went wrong? It's because you've outgrown the frequency that once sustained you. You can't stay where God already finished his work. Every environment that once nurtured your growth has served its purpose. Now, heaven is calling you higher. This repositioning might feel uncomfortable at first. You'll be tempted to cling to the familiar, to the people and places that once felt safe. But remember, safety is not the same as purpose. Heaven doesn't move you because you failed. It moves you because you're ready. And ready doesn't always feel easy. It feels like leaving conversations mid-sentence because your spirit has nothing left to say. It feels like walking through open doors while others stay closed behind you. It feels like stepping into rooms where no one knows your name. Yet heaven whispers, this is where you belong now. Ask yourself, could you really receive new instruction while surrounded by old distraction? Could you carry divine peace while standing in the same place that once broke it? Number. That's why heaven had to shift your scenery. Because purpose needs new soil. When God restores, he also rearranges. People who once carried your heart may no longer carry your frequency. Jobs, projects, dreams that once defined you will dissolve to make room for what truly reflects your soul. It's not rejection, it's realignment. Repositioning means responsibility. You're being placed strategically where your light can't be hidden. Heaven is putting you in environments where your gifts will grow roots, not just sprout. Your name is being mentioned in spaces where your integrity, not your influence, qualifies you. The shift might happen quietly. A new contact here, an unexpected invitation there, a sudden sense of peace about a new direction. But make no mistake, these are divine coordinates being adjusted in real time. You're being placed in positions you didn't apply for because heaven already approved your heart for them. And as God repositions you, He's protecting you. Some people won't understand why you had to move differently. They'll assume distance means pride, but heaven knows it means protection. You're not walking away from them. You're walking toward your assignment. Repositioning also means revelation. Once you're in the right place, what was blurry becomes clear. Ideas start to flow. Discernment sharpens. Peace increases. You realize that God wasn't just changing your direction. He was changing your dimension. This is the hidden truth. Restoration without repositioning leads to repetition. That's why heaven never lets you return to old spaces healed, because if you did, they'd just reopen old wounds. Instead, He lifts you, places you, and seals you where your spirit can finally breathe freely. Chosen one, don't resist this divine relocation. It's not punishment, it's placement. You've graduated from the season of surviving into the season of strategic purpose. Heaven doesn't just want you healed, it wants you housed in peace. So when doors close, thank them. When paths end, bless them. Because what looks like endings on earth are simply coordinates being updated in heaven. God is moving you to the exact place where your next miracle is already waiting. And once you arrive, you'll realize the move wasn't about losing people. It was about finding yourself. You're not being displaced. You're being divinely positioned. And from this new place, everything begins again, healed, aligned, and unstoppable. Chosen one, you've stepped into a new frequency, and heaven wants you to recognize it. Because when God repositions you, He doesn't send a memo. He sends signs, subtle confirmations, quiet clues that whisper, you're where you're meant to be. You may not even realize it yet, but the evidence is already around you. The atmosphere feels lighter. The pressure that once followed you seems to have dissolved. Even your thoughts sound different now, calmer, wiser, more certain. That's not coincidence, that's confirmation. The first sign of divine placement is base that doesn't make sense. Not because life is suddenly perfect, but because your soul finally feels aligned. You wake up without the old weight on your chest. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop trying to prove, defend, or explain that peace isn't emptiness. It's the echo of completion. Ask yourself, why do you no longer feel the need to rush? Why does silence feel sacred instead of scary? Because you're no longer chasing what you've already caught. Your spirit knows. You've arrived at the place your prayers prepared. The second sign is favor that flows effortlessly. Things that used to take struggle now seem to fall into place. Emails answered faster. People saying yes with no explanation. You walk into rooms you didn't fight to enter. Yet somehow you belong there. That's not luck, that's placement. Heaven opens doors for those who stayed faithful when it felt like no one was watching. The third sign is discomfort with anything beneath your new standard. You can't tolerate gossip anymore. You can't fake connections that drain you. You can't go back to normal because normal was never meant for you. That internal resistance isn't arrogance, it's awareness. Heaven has raised your vibration, and now your soul can only breathe in clean air. Ask yourself, why do you feel drawn to quiet, to order, to truth? Why does anything chaotic make you tired instantly? It's because you've stepped out of warfare and into worship. The noise that once defined you no longer defines you. You've entered the environment of peace where purpose grows easily. Another undeniable sign, alignment, finds you faster than anxiety. Opportunities appear before you can plan them. Conversations lead to divine connections. People start showing up with exactly what you prayed for, sometimes word for word. You'll notice that the rhythm of your life has changed. Where there used to be resistance, there's now flow. This is heaven's confirmation. You're no longer being tested. You're being trusted. You've moved from proving your faith to living it. Your words carry more weight, your presence more power. Even those who once doubted you will start to sense something different. They won't be able to explain it, but they'll feel it. And here's the final proof. Your old temptations have lost their power. You're no longer drawn to what once distracted you. The very things that used to keep you up at night now seem meaningless. That's because you've ascended beyond the lesson. The test ended, and your spirit passed. Heaven's promotion isn't a title. It's transformation. It's when you start walking through life as if you've already won. Because deep down, you know you have. You've shifted from fighting for peace to flowing in it. You've stopped begging for signs because you've become one. So don't question the calm. Don't overthink the ease. You've earned this stillness. It's not the absence of activity. It's the presence of alignment. You are no longer where you were. You're exactly where heaven placed you. The proof is in your peace. The evidence is in your evolution. And the world is about to see the fruit of your faith. Why the calm before expansion is your greatest confirmation yet. Chosen one. The quiet you feel right now isn't emptiness, it's evidence. This calm is not the absence of movement. It's the pause before the unveiling. You've stepped into the sacred stillness that comes just before heaven, multiplies what it has been maturing in secret. Don't mistake this peace for stagnation. Still waters don't mean there's no current. They mean the current runs deep. Heaven is still moving, just not noisily. The spiritual activity around you is high. The atmosphere is aligning. The silence you hear is simply the sound of preparation. Ask yourself, why does everything feel both finished and yet expectant? Why does your soul sense something immense approaching, though your eyes see nothing? Because heaven always pauses before promotion. The same way a bow is drawn back before release, you're being held still because your next move will carry power. This is the divine rhythm. Pressure, release, pause, expansion. You've endured the pressure. You've been granted the release. Now, heaven asks you to rest, to trust that the next expansion doesn't need your effort, only your readiness. You're standing in the sealer moment of your destiny, the sacred breath between the song's verse and its crescendo. It's the point where heaven whispers, "Stay still. Let me do this." During this calm, Heaven is finalizing details you can't yet see. The people who will help you are being prepared. The opportunities aligned with your purpose are being positioned. The timing is being perfected. Everything is being synchronized around your obedience. Ask yourself, could you really receive the next level while still recovering from the last? Could your heart handle expansion if it hadn't first experienced rest? That's why heaven paused you here, so you can receive increase without injury. Chosen one, this calm is proof that the warfare is over. You're no longer in the battlefield, you're standing in the build field. Your tools have changed, from weapons to blueprints. You're not fighting to survive, you're preparing to construct. This stillness is strategic. It's teaching you how to manage peace without panic. It's showing you how to exist without exhaustion. It's conditioning you to live in abundance without anxiety. Because expansion without its stability becomes chaos, and heaven refuses to let that happen to you. So this pause is not delay, it's design. It's the divine inhale before the exhale of breakthrough. You'll know expansion is near when your gratitude grows stronger than your goals. When you no longer crave proof, because peace has already convinced you. When you wake up and realize you don't need more to feel whole. That's when heaven says, now you're ready for overflow. Your spirit has entered the frequency of fulfillment. And from that vibration, manifestation becomes effortless. You won't have to push, you'll simply attract, because everything that belongs to you recognizes your energy now. Chosen one, stay still, but stay expectant. The calm is not the ending. It's the countdown. Heaven pauses not to stop momentum, but to multiply impact. And when movement returns, it will be swift, sudden, supernatural. So breathe deeply. Don't chase what's forming. Prepare to receive it. The silence means heaven is building the stage. And when the curtain lifts, the world will see what stillness was producing all along. You are not waiting anymore. You're ripening. You are not delayed. You're developing. And soon, the calm will give birth to your calling's greatest expansion yet. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Heaven has spoken. You will not go through that again. This isn't wishful thinking. It's a divine decree. The same God who allowed the fire has closed the furnace. The same heaven that tested you has sealed the victory. You are stepping into a season that looks nothing like what you came out of. The cycle that once haunted you has been permanently broken, not temporarily paused. What tried to return will find the door locked. What once had access now faces divine denial, because heaven has drawn a boundary around your life and written across it one word: protected. Ask yourself, why do the things that once scared you now feel powerless? Why do the memories that used to sting now feel distant, almost dull? It's because you've been rewired. Your soul no longer vibrates on the same frequency as your former pain. You've been delivered not just from the experience, but from its energy. When heaven says you won't repeat the past, it doesn't just remove people. It removes patterns. It changes how you respond, what you attract, what you tolerate. The situations that once tempted you will try again, but your spirit won't even flinch. Because what once broke you has now become your boundary. You're no longer the version of yourself who begged, chased, or tried to fix what was never meant to stay. You've become someone who stands, who trusts, who listens, and because of that, heaven can now trust you with peace that lasts. This final stage of your transformation is about recognition. Recognizing that the storm didn't steal from you, it shaped you. Recognizing that closure didn't come from an apology, it came from ascension. Recognizing that peace isn't something you wait for, it's something you walk in. Ask yourself, how many times did you think, I can't do this again? And yet here you stand, stronger than ever. That's why heaven has ended the repetition. Because the lesson has been mastered. You no longer need another round to prove your resilience. Your spirit carries the diploma of deliverance. You've broken spiritual contracts written generations ago. Curses, cycles, and patterns that claimed your family line have ended with you. You were the one chosen to face it and to finish it. That's why the battle was so brutal. Because heaven knew you were the only one strong enough to win it. And now, the heavens rejoice. The angels who watched you endure are now celebrating your endurance. They're whispering in the unseen, it's done. They did it. The line is free. Chosen one, you are walking proof that divine closure is real. You don't need to defend your healing or prove your peace. Your glow is your evidence. Your silence is your testimony. Your joy is your divine announcement. From this point forward, everything shifts. Doors open without you knocking. People arrive without you searching. Opportunities appear without you striving. Because now heaven no longer needs to test. It needs to trust. And heaven trusts you with peace, with purpose, with power. So stop looking back to check if the pain is following. It's not. The wilderness is behind you. The water has parted. You're walking into a future untouched by old flames. This is your divine confirmation. The season that once defined your suffering will now define your strength. The battle that almost broke you will become the blessing that builds you. You won't repeat the pain, you'll redeem it. Heaven's decree stands unshakable. You've crossed the threshold. You've graduated from the storm, and the life ahead of you will not echo the past behind you. Chosen one, lift your head. You've entered the land of no return. You will never have to go through that again. Because what once tested you now bows to you. It's done, it's sealed, it's finished, and heaven is applauding.